The xenobiology lab smelled like antiseptic and ozone. Lily hunched over her microscope, studying the cell structure of a purple moss from Sector 9. Her back ached from 3 hours in the same position, but the research was too interesting to stop. The moss could survive temperatures that would boil water. She needed to understand how. A loud crack echoed through the lab. Lily jumped, nearly knocking over her sample tray. She turned toward the sound. In the corner of the room sat a large containment unit. Inside was an egg. Not just any egg. A Dravix egg. The thing was supposed to be frozen, preserved for study, completely dormant. Another crack. A piece of shell fell away. "Oh no," Lily whispered. She ran to the emergency panel and slammed her hand on the alert button. Nothing happened. She tried again. The panel was dead. Someone had disabled it during the maintenance cycle that morning. They hadn't turned it back on yet. The egg split down the middle. Lily backed toward the door, her heart hammering. Every species in the galaxy knew about the Dravix. They were nightmares made flesh. Apex predators from a death world so dangerous that even other predators avoided it. A single adult Dravix had once destroyed an entire mining colony because someone had threatened its territory. They couldn't be tamed. They couldn't be reasoned with. They were living weapons, and one was hatching 3 meters away from her. The shell fragments fell away completely. Something moved inside the broken egg. Lily held her breath. A small head emerged. It was covered in midnight blue scales that caught the light like oil on water. Crimson eyes blinked open, confused and unfocused. Tiny wings, translucent and delicate, unfurled from its back. The creature was no bigger than a house cat. It looked around the lab with obvious fear. Its little body trembled. Then it opened its mouth and screamed. The sound was awful. High-pitched and piercing, it rattled the equipment on the shelves. A beaker shattered. The observation window cracked. Lily clapped her hands over her ears, but it didn't help much. The hatchling was terrified, calling for a parent that wasn't there. The lab door burst open. 4 security guards rushed in, plasma rifles raised. They wore full combat armor. The lead guard, a Krell with gray scales and cold eyes, aimed at the hatchling. "Hostile entity detected," the Krell barked. "Preparing to neutralize." "Wait," Lily shouted. She didn't think. She just moved. One moment she was by the door, the next she was standing between the guards and the hatchling. Her arms spread wide as if her soft human body could stop a plasma bolt. "Are you insane?" the Krell guard demanded. "Get out of the way!" "He's just a baby," Lily said. Her voice shook, but she didn't move. "Look at him. He's scared." "That thing will grow into a killing machine," another guard said. "Standard protocol is immediate termination of dangerous specimens." The hatchling's cries grew more desperate. It stumbled out of the egg fragments, clumsy on legs that weren't quite ready to support weight. It was making distress calls that every creature in the universe would recognize. It was alone. It was afraid. It wanted its mother. Lily slowly turned around. She lowered herself to one knee. The hatchling stared at her with those crimson eyes. Up close, she could see it wasn't just scared. It was exhausted. Hatching had taken everything it had. "Hey there," Lily said softly. "Hey, little one. I know you're frightened. I know this isn't where you're supposed to be." The hatchling stopped crying. It tilted its head, listening to her voice. "You're actually kind of cute," Lily continued. She knew she was probably about to die, but something in her couldn't let this happen. "Look at those tiny wings. And your scales are beautiful, like the night sky." She extended one hand very slowly. The guards behind her shouted warnings. She ignored them. The hatchling sniffed her fingers. Its breath was warm. Then, moving with careful deliberation, it pressed its scaled head against her palm. The gesture was so trusting, so vulnerable, that Lily felt tears sting her eyes. "There you go," she whispered. "See, not so scary. You're just a baby who needs someone to take care of you." The hatchling made a different sound now. Not a scream, but a soft chirp. It leaned against her leg, its little body still trembling. Without thinking, Lily reached down and scratched under its chin, where the scales looked softer. The hatchling's eyes closed. It made a rumbling sound that might have been contentment. Every person in the lab stared in silence. The door opened again. Director Vorna entered, a tall Krell female with silver scales and 3 ceremonial rings through her crest. She took in the scene with sharp, intelligent eyes. The shattered containment unit. The security team with weapons raised, Lily kneeling on the floor with a Dravix hatchling pressed against her side. "Explain," Vorna said. "The egg hatched early," Lily said. She kept her voice calm, kept scratching under the hatchling's chin. "He was scared. That's all. Just scared." "That is a Dravix," Vorna said flatly. "They are not capable of forming attachments. Especially not to mammals." "Then why is he purring?" Lily asked. The hatchling was indeed making a deep rhythmic sound. Its whole body vibrated with it. It had wrapped its tail around Lily's wrist like a child holding a parent's hand. Vorna stared for a long moment. Then she tapped her communication device. "Seal the xenobiology wing," she ordered. "Quarantine protocols. I want every scientist on this station watching this. If this human has actually bonded with a Dravix, we're witnessing something that's never happened in recorded history." "What do we do with them?" the Krell guard asked. "Put them in observation chambers," Vorna said. "Full monitoring. If the creature shows any aggression, we terminate immediately." "But if this bond is real," she paused. "If this is real, everything we know about interspecies relationships just changed." Lily looked down at the hatchling. It gazed back at her with complete trust. "I'm going to call you Ash," she said quietly, "because you're the color of smoke and starlight." Ash chirped and nuzzled closer. The guards slowly lowered their weapons. History had just shifted, though no one quite understood it yet. 3 days had passed since Ash hatched. Lily sat on the floor of the quarantine chamber, tossing a rubber ball across the room. Ash pounced on it with the enthusiasm of a kitten, his small wings flapping uselessly. He hadn't figured out flying yet. Every attempt ended with him tumbling snout first into the padded floor. "Good boy," Lily laughed as Ash brought the ball back, dropping it in her lap with pride. "You're getting faster." Ash chirped and did a small circle, his tail wagging. The gesture was so dog-like that Lily had to smile. Nothing about his behavior matched what the galaxy believed about Dravix. He was playful, affectionate. He followed her everywhere, even to the bathroom, which made things awkward. The observation window lit up. Director Vorna's face appeared on the screen, along with 3 other Krell scientists Lily didn't recognize. "The delegation from Scarellus Prime has arrived," Vorna announced. "They are demanding access to the hatchling." Lily's stomach dropped. She stood up slowly. Ash immediately moved to stand beside her, sensing her anxiety. "When?" Lily asked. "Now." The chamber door opened with a hiss. 3 massive shapes entered, and Lily's breath caught in her throat. These were adult Dravix. Each one stood 4 meters tall at the shoulder. Their scales were dark as volcanic rock, scarred from countless battles. Wings folded against their backs could probably blot out the sun. Their eyes glowed like molten metal. They were the most terrifying things Lily had ever seen. Ash made a small, frightened sound and dove behind Lily's legs. He pressed himself against her, trembling. These were his own kind, but he didn't recognize them as safe. He only knew they were big and scary, and he wanted his human to protect him. The largest Dravix stepped forward. His scales were almost black, with veins of red running through them like lava cracks. When he spoke, his voice was deep enough to vibrate the floor. "I am Granite Fang, Elder of the Territorial Council," he rumbled. "We have come for the hatchling." "His name is Ash," Lily said. Her voice came out steadier than she expected. "It is a Dravix. It does not have names. It has rank and blood right." Granite Fang's eyes narrowed. "You have interfered with natural selection. This hatchling should have died or proven its strength. Instead, you have made it weak." "I made him safe," Lily countered. "There's a difference." Another Dravix, smaller but with cruel scars across her snout, snorted smoke from her nostrils. "Humans, so soft, so foolish. You think kindness matters in the universe? Strength matters. Power matters. This hatchling will never survive among our kind now." "Then maybe your kind needs to change," Lily said. The words hung in the air like a challenge. The 3 Dravix stared at her. No one spoke to elders that way. Certainly not a human who barely came up to their knees. Granite Fang's eyes flashed. "You dare?" "I dare," Lily said. She felt Ash shaking against her legs and reached down to rest a hand on his head. "Look at him. He's terrified of you. Not because he's weak, but because you're acting like predators instead of parents. He's a baby. He needed comfort and care. I gave him that." "Is that really so wrong?" The scarred female Dravix laughed, a sound like grinding stones. "Comfort, care, these are not Dravix concepts. We teach our young through trial, through pain, through survival. That is our way. And how many hatchlings don't survive your way? Lily asked quietly. Granite Fang's expression shifted. Something that might have been pain flickered across his ancient face. Too many, he admitted. Our population declines each generation. Hatchlings kill each other. They die from lack of control over their fire. They cannot master their hunting instincts and attack things that kill them in return. He looked at Ash. But this one lives. This one is calm. This one has bonded to a being not of our blood. How? I just treated him like he mattered, Lily said. I talked to him, played with him, made sure he felt safe. That's all. That's all, Granite Fang repeated slowly. You say it as if it is simple. It is simple. The elder moved closer. Ash's trembling increased. Lily wanted to run, but she held her ground. Granite Fang lowered his massive head until he was eye level with her. His breath smelled like sulfur and smoke. One bite could end her life. I will test this bond, he said. If it is true, if it is strong, then perhaps you speak wisdom. If it is false, if the hatchling turns on you as is natural, then we take him home and you do not interfere again. Agreed? What kind of test? Lily asked warily. Granite Fang reached out with one clawed hand. Before Lily could react, he grabbed her and lifted her off the ground. She gasped in pain and fear. Ash's reaction was immediate. The hatchling roared. It wasn't the scared cry from 3 days ago. This was pure rage. Ash's scales bristled, his wings spread wide, suddenly looking larger than they had any right to be, and from his small jaws came fire. Real fire, hot and bright and focused. The flame shot across the room and struck Granite Fang's arm. The elder dropped Lily in surprise. She hit the ground hard, the breath knocked from her lungs. Ash immediately positioned himself over her, wings spread in protection. He was tiny compared to the adults, but his fury made him seem larger. He hissed and snapped at any Dravix that moved. Granite Fang stared at his arm. The scales were scorched. No real damage, but the fact that a hatchling had managed to mark him at all was significant. He looked at Ash with new respect. Impossible, the scarred female whispered. Hatchlings cannot control their first fire. They burn wildly without aim, but this one targeted a threat with precision. He protected her, the third Dravix said, speaking for the first time. Like a parent protects a nest. Lily struggled to sit up. Ash turned his head to check on her, his eyes still blazing with anger. She touched his snout gently. I'm okay, she said softly. I'm okay, baby. You did so good. Ash's fire died out. He made a worried chirping sound and licked her face with a warm tongue. The fierce predator vanished, replaced again by an anxious child making sure his mother was unhurt. Granite Fang slowly straightened. He looked at Lily with something that might have been awe. Forgive me, he said. I had to know if the bond was real, if it would hold under threat. He bowed his head, a gesture of respect Lily suspected he rarely gave. It is real, more real than any bond I have seen in my 3 centuries of life. You hurt her to test that? Lily snapped, anger overriding her fear now. Yes, and I was wrong to do so. Granite Fang turned to the other Dravix. We leave the hatchling here. We observe, we learn. Perhaps this human knows something we have forgotten. You're letting him stay? Lily asked, surprised. I am asking if you will keep him, Granite Fang corrected, and if you will teach us how you did this. Our species is dying because we have forgotten how to nurture. You have remembered. That makes you valuable beyond measure. Lily looked at Ash, who gazed back at her with complete trust and love. Yes, she said, I'll keep him. And yes, I'll help. But no more tests. Granite Fang's rumble might have been laughter. Agreed, little human, agreed. Lily hummed while watering her collection of alien ferns. Ash sprawled across the floor of her lab, now the size of a large dog after 3 months of growth. His scales had darkened to a deeper blue, almost black in certain light. He watched her work with drowsy contentment, occasionally yawning to show rows of very sharp teeth. The botanist's lab had become their home after the quarantine ended. Director Vorna had granted special permission, mainly because separating Lily and Ash resulted in the dragon destroying everything in his vicinity while crying for her. It was easier to let them stay together. Pass me the nutrient solution, Lily asked. Ash lifted his head and looked at the shelf where bottles were organized. He carefully picked up the blue bottle in his jaws and carried it to her, gentle despite his strength. Lily scratched behind his ear ridges as a thank you. Ash rumbled with pleasure. They had developed routines. Small communications. Lily swore she could feel his emotions sometimes like an echo in her own chest. When he was happy, she felt warm. When he was upset, she felt agitated. It wasn't telepathy exactly, but it was something. The alarm shattered their peace. Red lights flashed throughout the station. An automated voice announced, "Security breach in progress. All personnel to designated safe zones." This is not a drill. Lily's heart raced. She ran to her computer terminal and pulled up the security feed. Her stomach turned. Armed figures moved through the corridors, stunning anyone who got in their way. They wore unmarked armor and carried military-grade weapons. Pirates. Had to be. Ash was on his feet instantly, sensing her fear. He growled low in his throat. "We need to get somewhere safe," Lily said, grabbing her emergency bag. She'd never actually expected to need it. Station Harmony was supposed to be neutral territory. No one attacked research stations. She headed for the door but stopped. Through the window, she could see 3 pirates moving down the corridor toward her lab. They were checking each room, looking for something. Or someone. "They're looking for valuable research," Lily whispered. "Or they're looking for you." She had become famous across the galaxy as the Dragon Keeper. Every news feed had covered the story. Of course, someone would eventually try to steal Ash. She'd been stupid not to prepare better. The door controls sparked. Someone was overriding the lock from outside. Lily looked around frantically. The lab had one other exit leading to the greenhouse section. She ran for it, Ash right behind her. They made it through just as the main door exploded inward. Shouts followed them. The greenhouse was Lily's sanctuary. Rows of plants from dozens of worlds created a small jungle under artificial sunlight. The air was humid and thick with the smell of growth. Ash's claws clicked on the metal walkway as they ran deeper into the foliage. She went this way. "Careful. The dragon is with her. So what? Tranquilizer rounds will drop it. We've got Dravik suppressors." Lily's blood went cold. Dravik suppressors were sonic weapons designed specifically to incapacitate the species. They caused extreme pain, disrupting the electrical signals in a Dravik's nervous system. If they used those on Ash, he would be helpless. She pushed through hanging vines and pulled Ash into a small alcove behind a massive tree fern. They crouched low. Ash's breathing was quick and shallow. He could sense danger, but he stayed quiet, trusting Lily's lead. Footsteps echoed on the walkway. 3 pirates spread out, scanning the greenhouse. One of them held a device that looked like a rifle, but hummed with a frequency that made Lily's teeth hurt. "The suppressor. Come out," one pirate called. "Make this easy. We're taking the dragon. You can either cooperate or get stunned. Your choice." Ash's muscles tensed. He wanted to fight. Lily put a hand on his neck, silently begging him to wait. They were outnumbered and outgunned. She needed a plan. One of the pirates stepped closer to their hiding spot. He swept the branches aside with his weapon barrel. Lily held her breath. Ash's eyes blazed crimson, locked on the threat. The pirate's communicator crackled. "Boss wants this done fast. Station security is regrouping. 5 minutes, then we extract." "Copy that," the pirate replied. "But I know they're in here. I saw them run this direction." He took another step forward. His boot was centimeters from where Lily crouched. A vine snapped. The pirate spun toward the sound, weapon raised. Lily had moved her foot slightly, deliberately making noise away from their position. The pirate fired his stunner at the rustling plants, missing them entirely. "Got something!" he shouted to his companions. All 3 converged on the false location. The moment their backs were turned, Lily grabbed Ash and ran in the opposite direction. They made it 10 meters before one of the pirates spotted them. "There." The pirate with the suppressor raised his weapon. The device whined as it powered up. Lily tried to dodge, but there was nowhere to go. The sonic pulse would fill the entire greenhouse. Ash would be caught in it for sure. The weapon fired. The sound was horrible. Not loud, but wrong. It vibrated at a frequency that human ears barely registered, but that made Lily's bones ache. Ash screamed and collapsed, his legs giving out. He thrashed on the ground, eyes rolling back. White foam appeared at the corners of his jaws. "Ash!" Lily dropped beside him, her hands hovering uselessly. She didn't know what to do. The sonic weapon was still active, pulses hitting Ash every few seconds. He was in agony. The pirates approached, weapons ready. "Leave him alone," Lily screamed. She threw her body over Ash as if she could somehow shield him. "Please, move," a pirate ordered. "Final warning. Lily didn't move. Under her, Ash's thrashing slowed. His breathing became more regular. Lily felt something change through their bond. Instead of panic, she felt focus. Cold, sharp focus. Ash wasn't giving up. He was adapting. The scientists who studied Draviks always noted their incredible ability to survive. They evolved in real time to counter threats. But it usually took generations, not minutes. Ash was doing the impossible because he had to. Because Lily was in danger, his scales began to vibrate. The pirates noticed too late. Ash exploded upward, moving faster than something his size should be able to move. His scales were resonating at the exact frequency of the suppressor, canceling it out. He had turned his own body into a counterweapon. He hit the nearest pirate like a missile, knocking him into a support beam. The man crumpled. The second pirate fired his stunner, but Ash dodged with serpentine grace. His tail whipped around and sent the weapon flying. His jaws closed on the pirate's armor, not biting through but holding firm. With one shake of his head, Ash threw the man across the greenhouse. The third pirate, the one with the suppressor, backed away in terror. He fired again and again. Ash walked straight through the sonic pulses without flinching. His eyes glowed like hot coals. He stopped 2 meters from the pirate and opened his jaws. Fire built in his throat, visible as an orange glow. "Ash, no," Lily called. Ash froze. The fire died in his throat. He turned to look at Lily, and she saw the struggle in his eyes. Every instinct told him to eliminate the threat. But she had asked him not to. That mattered more. He turned back to the pirate and roared instead. The sound shattered glass panels overhead. The pirate dropped his weapon and ran, stumbling over his own feet in terror. Ash didn't chase him. He returned to Lily and pressed his head against her chest, suddenly gentle again. She wrapped her arms around his neck and felt him shaking, not from fear, from the effort of controlling himself. "You did so good," she whispered. "You protected me without killing them. I'm so proud of you." Station security arrived moments later, weapons drawn. They stopped when they saw the scene. 3 unconscious pirates, damaged equipment, and Lily hugging a dragon who could have killed everyone in the room but had chosen not to. Director Vorna appeared in the doorway. She surveyed the damage with an unreadable expression. Then she looked at Ash, who was still trembling against Lily. "Get medical teams for the intruders," Vorna ordered, "and someone contact Granite Fang. He needs to see the security footage from this incident." "Why?" one guard asked. "Because that hatchling just demonstrated something no Draviks has ever achieved. Perfect restraint under threat. Perfect control over hunting instinct." Vorna's eyes were bright with amazement. The human didn't just tame him. She taught him wisdom. Later, after the pirates had been taken away and the greenhouse was being repaired, Lily sat with Ash in their lab. He was exhausted, sleeping with his head in her lap. She stroked his scales gently. A hologram flickered to life. Granite Fang's massive form appeared, his expression serious. "I watched the recording," he said without preamble. "What that hatchling did should not be possible. Adapting to the suppressor. Controlling his fire at your command. Choosing mercy over instinct." He paused. "You have done more than bond with a Draviks. You have changed what a Draviks can become." "He's special," Lily said softly. "No. You are special, and because of you he is extraordinary." Granite Fang bowed his head. "I am calling an emergency council meeting. Other Draviks must see this, must understand what you have taught him. Our young kill each other because they cannot control their nature. You have shown it is possible." "I just loved him," Lily said. "That's all." "That's all," Granite Fang repeated, just as he had months ago. "You humans make profound things sound simple." His image began to fade. "Keep him safe. What you two have together is changing the galaxy, whether you realize it or not." The hologram vanished. Lily looked down at Ash, who snored softly. His scales rose and fell with each breath. In sleep, he looked peaceful. No one watching him now would believe he was a dangerous creature. Maybe that was the point. Maybe he never had been dangerous. He just needed someone to believe in him first. Lily felt the shift before she saw anything wrong. Walking back to her quarters after a supply run, she noticed people staring at her. Not the usual curious looks she'd gotten used to. These were worried expressions. Pity even. Something had changed. Ash walked beside her, now massive enough that his shoulder came up to her chest. His wings were fully developed, capable of carrying him through space for short flights between station modules. At 6 months old, he was nearly adult-sized, though Granite Fang had assured her he would grow for several more years. Director Vorna intercepted them at the corridor junction. Her scales looked paler than usual. "We need to talk," she said. Privately. In Vorna's office, Lily sat while Ash curled protectively around her chair. The director pulled up a holographic display. A man's face appeared. He was Torvin, with the distinctive ridged forehead and silver eyes of that species. He wore expensive clothes and carried himself with obvious arrogance. "This is Silas Vorn," Vorna said. "He's a collector. Art, artifacts, rare specimens. He arrived on the station 2 hours ago." "So?" Lily asked, though her stomach was already sinking. "He wants to buy Ash." Lily stood so fast her chair tipped backward. Ash caught it with his tail before it hit the floor. "Ash isn't for sale. He's not property." "I explained that to him," Vorna said carefully. "He offered me enough credits to buy 3 stations like this one. When I refused, he said he would speak to you directly. The answer will still be no. I believe you." Vorna's expression darkened. "But you should know that Silas Vorn doesn't hear the word no often. He has connections, resources, private military forces. People who cross him tend to have unfortunate accidents." "Are you saying he'll try to take Ash by force?" Lily asked. "I'm saying be very careful. Station security will do what we can, but Vorn moves in circles we don't have access to." Vorna hesitated. "Granite Fang has offered to send Dravik's warriors as protection." "Should I accept?" Lily looked at Ash, who stared back with intelligent eyes. She could feel his concern through their bond. He understood something was wrong. "No," Lily said finally. "That would escalate things. Make it seem like we're preparing for war. I'll handle Silas Vorn if he approaches me." "I hope you're right," Vorna said, but she didn't sound convinced. 2 days later, Silas Vorn made his move. Not with violence, but with words. He requested a formal meeting with Lily in one of the station's observation lounges. She agreed, mainly because refusing would make her look afraid. Ash came with her, of course. He never let her out of his sight anymore. Silas Vorn was everything Lily expected and worse. He sat in the best chair, positioned to catch the light from the nearby star, making him look more important. When Lily entered, he didn't stand. That alone told her what he thought of her. "Miss Lily," he said, his voice smooth as oil. "Thank you for meeting with me." "Let's skip the pleasantries," Lily replied, taking a seat across from him. Ash lay at her feet, eyes fixed on Vorn. "I know why you're here." "The answer is no. You haven't heard my offer yet. I don't need to. Ash isn't for sale." Silas Vorn smiled. It didn't reach his eyes. "Everything is for sale, my dear. It's simply a matter of finding the right price." He pulled up a holographic display showing a number. The amount was staggering. "More money than Lily would earn in 10 lifetimes, no," Lily said again. The smile faded. "You're being foolish. That creature is worth a fortune. On display in my collection, he would be the centerpiece. People would travel across the galaxy to see him. I would treat him well, I assure you. He's not a display piece. He's a living being who I care about." "Care." Vorn said the word like it tasted bad. "How sentimental. Let me be clear, Miss Lily, I always acquire what I want. Always. You can accept my generous offer and live very comfortably, or you can refuse and I'll take him anyway. The outcome is the same. Only the method differs." Ash growled, a sound like distant thunder. Silas Vorn's guards standing near the door tensed and reached for their weapons. "Control your animal," Vorn said coldly. "He's not an animal, and he's responding to your threat." Lily stood. "This meeting is over. If you try to take Ash, you'll regret it." "Will I?" Vorn stood as well. "I've broken creatures far more dangerous than a single Dravix. I have technology you can't imagine. Resources beyond your comprehension. What do you have? Sentiment and stubbornness?" "I have him," Lily said simply. "And he's worth more than all your money and technology combined." She walked out, Ash following close behind. She felt Vorn's eyes on her back, cold and calculating. He wasn't done. Not even close. That night, someone tried to sabotage the environmental controls in Lily's quarters. The attempt was clumsy, easily caught by station security. The next day, her computer terminal was hacked, though nothing was stolen. The day after that, a supply delivery to her lab was contaminated with sedatives that would have knocked her unconscious for hours. Silas Vorn was sending a message. He could reach her whenever he wanted. The station's defenses meant nothing to him. Lily stopped sleeping. She stayed in her lab with Ash, surrounded by plants and security monitors. She watched every shadow, jumped at every sound. This couldn't continue. Something had to give. The breaking point came on the fourth night. Lily was reviewing research data when the lights went out. Not just in her lab, but across the entire research wing. Emergency lighting kicked in, bathing everything in red. Ash was on his feet instantly, scales bristling. Through their bond, Lily felt his alarm mirror her own. Security breach, the station computer announced in a flat voice. All personnel evacuate to safe zones. But Lily knew better. This was Vorn making his move. He'd disabled the security grid. His people were coming. She ran for the emergency exit, but the door wouldn't open. Locked from the outside, trapped. The main entrance exploded inward. Not literally, but the locks were blown and the door crashed open. 4 figures in tactical armor entered, moving with military precision. They carried weapons Lily didn't recognize. Sophisticated. Illegal, probably. Target acquired, one said. Contain the dragon. Secure the human. They raised their weapons. Ash put himself between them and Lily, wings spread wide to shield her. He roared, fire building in his throat. The mercenaries fired, not bullets or plasma, some kind of energy net that expanded as it flew. It hit Ash square in the chest and wrapped around him, crackling with electricity. He screamed in pain and collapsed, the net constricting tighter the more he struggled. Ash! Lily tried to run to him, but 2 mercenaries grabbed her arms. She fought, but they were too strong. They dragged her toward the door. Through the net, Ash thrashed and snapped. His fire died as the energy field suppressed his abilities. His eyes met Lily's, desperate and frightened. Not for himself. For her. A hologram flickered to life in the center of the lab. Silas Vorn's face smug and satisfied. I did warn you, he said. The dragon will be transported to my ship within the hour. As for you, Miss Lily, you'll be released once we're safely away. Consider this a lesson in knowing when you're outmatched. Rage flooded through Lily. Not the hot, explosive kind. The cold, focused kind that sharpened her thoughts instead of clouding them. She stopped struggling. The mercenaries loosened their grip slightly, thinking she'd given up. She remembered what Granite Fang had taught her about Draviks. They were connected to their bonded through emotion. If she panicked, Ash would panic. If she fought mindlessly, so would he. But if she centered herself, found calm in the chaos, he would feel that too. Lily closed her eyes and took a breath. Then another. She thought about the first day Ash hatched. How scared he'd been. How she'd gentled him with soft words and patience. She pushed that memory through their bond as hard as she could. She felt Ash receive it. His thrashing slowed. His breathing steadied. Stay calm, baby, she whispered, knowing somehow he would hear her. I'm right here. We'll get through this. Just listen to my voice. The energy net crackled and sparked. Ash's scales began to resonate, just like they had with the sonic suppressor. He was adapting again, learning. The net was designed for normal Draviks, but Ash wasn't normal. He'd been trained by a human who taught him to think, not just react. The net shattered. Ash exploded upward, moving so fast the mercenaries barely had time to register it. He didn't attack them directly. Instead, he grabbed Lily with his claws, gentle despite his speed, and leaped toward the broken door. His wings snapped open, catching the air. Energy bolts flew past them as they escaped into the corridor. Ash ran on all fours. Lily clutched safely to his chest. Behind them, the mercenaries gave chase, but they were slow compared to a motivated Draviks. Ash burst through a window into one of the station's open-air gardens. He spread his wings fully and jumped. For a terrifying moment, they were falling. Then his wings caught an updraft and they soared between the station's rotating sections. He flew to the main security hub and crashed through the entrance, startling Director Vorna and 3 guards. They're trying to steal Ash, Lily gasped as soon as Ash set her down. Silas Vorn, he disabled your security grid. His people are in the research wing. Vorna's expression turned to stone. Lock down the station. Alert the Galactic Authority. And someone get me Granite Fang. Now. It took 20 minutes to round up Vorn's mercenaries. They surrendered when they realized the entire station security force and a very angry dragon were hunting them. Silas Vorn himself was found trying to reach his ship. Granite Fang's hologram appeared just as security dragged Vorn into custody. You dared to attack a bonded pair, the elder said, his voice like grinding mountains. You violated sacred trust. The Dravik's Territorial Council demands jurisdiction. We will see justice done. Silas Vorn's arrogance finally cracked. He looked terrified. Later, Lily sat with Ash in their lab, now with triple security. She leaned against his side, exhausted. He wrapped a wing around her protectively. "You saved me," she said softly. "Again." Ash rumbled and nuzzled her hair. Through their bond, she felt his response clearly. She'd saved him first. Every day since he hatched, she'd saved him just by loving him. This was just returning the favor. Lily smiled and closed her eyes. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but tonight they were safe. Together. Unbreakable. The transport ship rattled as it entered Scoralis Prime's atmosphere. Lily gripped her seat, trying not to look out the window. The planet below was a nightmare painted in red and black. Volcanoes erupted across the surface. Rivers of lava carved glowing paths through obsidian plains. The sky churned with ash clouds and lightning storms. Ash pressed against her side, his presence calming despite the chaos outside. He was fully grown now, a magnificent creature of midnight scales and crimson eyes. His wingspan could cover a small building. But to Lily, he was still her baby, still the scared hatchling who'd needed someone to believe in him. "Are you certain about this?" Director Vorna asked from across the cabin. She'd insisted on accompanying them along with 2 security officers. The Draviks have never allowed outsiders on their homeworld. "What they're asking you to do is unprecedented." "I know," Lily said. She wore an environmental suit designed to filter the toxic atmosphere. Even inside the ship, the temperature was uncomfortably high. "But if I can help their hatchlings survive, I have to try." The ship landed on a plateau of cooled lava. The moment the ramp lowered, heat slammed into them like a physical force. Lily's suit compensated, but she could still feel the intensity. How anything lived here was beyond her understanding. Granite Fang waited at the base of the ramp. He wasn't alone. Dozens of adult Draviks surrounded the landing zone. Some looked curious. Others looked hostile. Lily could feel the weight of their stares. She was the first human to stand on Scoralis Prime, the first outsider to be invited here in centuries. "Welcome," Granite Fang rumbled. He lowered his head in respect. "You honor us with your presence." "Thank you for inviting me," Lily replied. Her voice sounded small in the vast, harsh landscape. "Come. The council awaits." They walked across the volcanic plain surrounded by Draviks. Ash stayed close to Lily, his wings partially spread in a protective stance. The other Draviks gave him respectful distance. Word of his bond with Lily had spread throughout their society. He was famous, a legend in his own kind's eyes. The council chambers were carved into the side of an active volcano. The interior glowed with natural heat. Lava flowed through channels in the walls, providing light and warmth. 5 elder Draviks sat on stone thrones, their scales marked with scars from countless years of survival. The central elder, larger than even Granite Fang, spoke first. Her voice was ancient and tired. "I am Obsidian Crest, voice of the Territorial Council. We have asked you here because we are desperate." She gestured with one clawed hand. 3 hatchlings out of every 5 die before their first year. They cannot control their fire. They turn on each other. They are consumed by instincts they cannot master. Our species is dying slowly, generation by generation. "What exactly do you want me to do?" Lily asked. "Teach us," Obsidian Crest said simply. "Teach us your methods. Show us how you made that hatchling into what he is now." "I just treated him with kindness," Lily said, repeating words she'd said many times before. "I made him feel safe. Loved. I showed him he didn't have to be afraid all the time." Another elder, his scales cracked with age, snorted. "Kindness, love. These are not Dravik's concepts. We are predators. We survive through strength. And you're dying," Lily said bluntly. "Maybe it's time to try something different." Silence fell across the chamber. No one spoke to elders that way. But Obsidian Crest's eyes glinted with something that might have been approval. "We will give you 5 orphaned hatchlings," she said. "They are aggressive, uncontrolled, deemed unfit for survival. If your methods work, we will implement them across our world. If they fail, you will leave and never speak of this again. Do you accept these terms?" Lily looked at Ash. He met her gaze steadily, and through their bond she felt his confidence in her. He believed she could do this. That gave her courage. "I accept." They brought her to a nursery carved into the volcanic rock. The space was barren. No comfort, no softness. Just hard stone and extreme heat. 5 hatchlings huddled in separate corners, hissing at each other. Each was covered in scars. They'd been fighting constantly, The hatchlings ranged in size and color. 2 were dark red, 1 was gray as ash, 1 was deep green, and the smallest was almost white with black markings. That last one caught Lily's attention. It stayed furthest from the others, clearly the target of most aggression. "They will attack you," Granite Fang warned. "Be careful." Lily removed her helmet. The air was breathable here barely, though it burned her throat. She wanted the hatchlings to see her face, to understand she wasn't a threat. She sat down on the stone floor, making herself small and non-threatening. The hatchlings stared at her, confused, curious. No one had ever sat with them before. "Hey there," Lily said softly, using the same gentle voice she'd used with Ash. "I know you're scared. I know you're angry. This place is hard and cruel and you don't know who to trust. But I'm here to help you. I promise." The largest hatchling, one of the red ones, charged. It happened so fast Lily barely had time to register the movement. Ash's wings slammed down between them, creating a barrier. The hatchling bounced off and tumbled backward, surprised but unhurt. "Ash, it's okay," Lily said. "He's just testing me." She stood and approached the red hatchling slowly. It hissed, fire building in its throat. Every instinct told Lily to run. Instead, she knelt down an arm's length away. "You're not scary," she said gently. "You're just a baby who's been hurt, who's had to fight every day just to survive. That's not your fault." The hatchling's fire died. It stared at her with eyes that suddenly looked very young and very lost. Lily extended her hand. "Want to see something nice? Come here." The hatchling hesitated. Then, moving cautiously, it approached. It sniffed her hand, its breath hot against her skin. She slowly reached up and scratched under its chin where the scales were softer. The hatchling's eyes closed. It made a sound Lily had never heard from any Dravix except Ash. A soft, vulnerable chirp of contentment. The other hatchlings watched in amazement. Watched as their aggressive brother melted under gentle touch. Watched as the strange, soft creature showed them something they'd never experienced before. Kindness. Over the next 3 days, Lily worked with the hatchlings. She learned their individual personalities. The big red one, who she named Crimson in her head, was actually protective of the smaller ones once he learned aggression wasn't necessary. The gray one was clever, quick to learn. The green one was cautious but gentle. The other red hatchling was playful, constantly trying to get the others to chase him. And the small white one with black markings was timid, scarred. She'd been bullied so badly she flinched. At any sudden movement, Lily spent extra time with her, showing her that not every interaction meant pain. The little one gradually began to trust, started following Lily around like Ash had when he was small. Eventually, she let Lily pick her up and hold her, something adult Dravix who watched gasped at. Hatchlings didn't allow themselves to be held. It was a position of vulnerability, but this one felt safe enough to be vulnerable. By the end of the week, all 5 hatchlings had bonded with Lily to some degree. They played together without fighting. They came when she called. They controlled their fire instead of letting it control them. The change was remarkable. The Dravix Council watched through observation crystals, seeing everything. Obsidian Crest called an emergency meeting. Lily stood before the council again, exhausted but satisfied. The 5 hatchlings sat behind her in a neat row, calm and attentive. Ash stood beside her, proud as any parent watching their youngster succeed. "Impossible," one elder breathed. "In 7 days you accomplished what we could not in 7 months." "It wasn't impossible," Lily said. "You just needed to change your approach. These hatchlings aren't weapons to be forged. They're children to be nurtured. Both things can be true. They can be fierce and strong and still know love and safety." Obsidian Crest stood. Her ancient eyes were bright with emotion Lily couldn't quite name. "You have done more than teach us about hatchlings," she said. "You have taught us about ourselves. We forgot that strength can be gentle, that power can be protective, that the fiercest warriors are those who choose when to fight, not those who cannot stop fighting." "So you'll change how you raise your young?" Lily asked. "We will try," Obsidian Crest replied. "We will assign caretakers who understand these methods. We will create spaces where hatchlings can be safe, not just survive. We will remember what you showed us." A different elder, the one who'd been skeptical before, stood as well. His name was Obsidian Claw, and his scars told of a long, violent life. "But not all will accept this," he said darkly. "I myself struggle with it. We have been one way for millennia. Many will see your methods as weakness, as corruption of our nature. I'm not trying to corrupt anyone, Lily said. I'm trying to save them. There's a difference. Perhaps, Obsidian Claw said. But you must understand, young human. You have challenged everything we believe about ourselves. That is dangerous. For you. For us. For everyone. He stepped down from his throne. He was massive, even by Dravik standards. His scales were black as the space between stars. His eyes held the weight of 3 centuries of combat. I challenge you to trial by fire, he said formally. The ancient way. One voice against another. One truth against another. Combat until one yields or dies. The chamber erupted in shock. Granite Fang roared in protest. She is our guest. Under council protection. This violates every law of hospitality. This violates nothing, Obsidian Claw replied calmly. I invoke ancient right. She has changed our world. I have the right to test whether that change is worthy. He looked at Lily. You may refuse. If you do, you must leave Scoreless Prime and never return. Your teachings will be forbidden. All hatchlings trained in your ways will be retrained the old way, including the 5 you just saved. Lily felt ice in her stomach. If she refused, everything she'd worked for would be destroyed. The hatchlings would be thrown back into cruelty. But if she accepted, she would face a 300-year-old Dravix warrior in single combat. She would die. Obviously. Certainly. She looked at the 5 hatchlings. They stared back at her with trusting eyes. Then she looked at Ash. He pressed his head against her shoulder, and through their bond she felt his complete faith in her. I accept, Lily said. Her voice didn't shake. She was proud of that. Obsidian Claw smiled. It was not a kind expression. Tomorrow at dawn, he said. The volcanic arena. Come prepared to prove your truth, human. Or to die trying. The council dispersed in chaos. Granite Fang tried to find loopholes in the law. Director Vorna demanded they leave immediately. The 5 hatchlings huddled close to Lily, sensing danger. But Lily stood quiet, thinking. She'd known from the moment she stepped on this world that it might come to this. That change never came easy. That sometimes you had to risk everything to save what mattered. She spent the night with Ash and the hatchlings, memorizing their faces, their sounds, the way they felt pressed against her. If tomorrow was her last day, at least she'd spend it surrounded by creatures she'd helped. That meant something. That was enough. As dawn approached, Lily prepared for trial by fire. Not with weapons, not with armor, just with the truth she believed in her heart. That love was stronger than fear. That kindness was its own kind of strength. That even the fiercest predator could choose to be gentle. She would prove it, or she would die trying. The volcanic arena was carved into the caldera of an active volcano. Heat rippled the air in visible waves. Lava flowed through channels cut into the stone floor, creating barriers and obstacles. Thousands of Draviks surrounded the arena, perched on ledges and outcroppings. They'd come from across the continent to witness this. The human who changed hatchlings, the ancient warrior who defended tradition. One truth would prevail, one would be destroyed. Lily stood at the arena's edge wearing her environmental suit. Without it, she'd suffocate in minutes from the toxic fumes. She looked small and fragile against the brutal landscape. Beside her, Ash shifted anxiously. He wanted to fight for her. Through their bond, she felt his desperate need to protect her, but she'd forbidden it. This was her battle to fight. Obsidian Claw entered from the opposite side. He moved with the confidence of a creature who'd never lost a fight. His black scales gleamed like polished stone. Scars covered his body, each one a story of survival. He was 3 centuries old. He'd seen civilizations rise and fall. He'd fought wars that reshaped planets. And Lily was a 24-year-old botanist who'd never thrown a punch in her life. Obsidian Crest's voice echoed across the arena, amplified by natural acoustics. Trial by fire is our oldest law. When words fail, action speaks. When philosophy conflicts, combat decides. The human has challenged our ways. Obsidian Claw defends what we have always been. Let truth emerge from flame and fury. Begin. Obsidian Claw didn't wait. He launched forward, moving with terrifying speed for something so massive. Fire erupted from his jaws, a column of white-hot flame that would incinerate anything it touched. Lily didn't run. She stood perfectly still. The fire stopped inches from her face, close enough that her suit's temperature warning screamed, close enough that she could see her reflection in the flames. You're not trying to kill me, Lily said quietly. If you were, that fire would have already hit. You're testing me. Obsidian Claw's eyes narrowed. The fire died. He circled her slowly like a predator evaluating prey. You are observant, he admitted. Yes, I test you. I want to know if you truly believe what you preach or if you are like so many others who speak of courage but run when faced with death. I believe it, Lily said. She reached up and unlatched her helmet. The arena gasped collectively as she removed it. The toxic air burned her lungs immediately. Her eyes watered. Her throat felt like it was on fire. What are you doing? Obsidian Claw demanded. You'll die, maybe, Lily gasped. But I need you to see my face. To see I'm not lying. To see I'm not hiding behind anything. Each word was agony. The air was poison to human lungs. She had maybe 3 minutes before she passed out. 5 before brain damage. You think I make your species weak? You're wrong. She stepped forward, her legs shaking. Not from fear. From lack of oxygen. Ash has faced pirates, mercenaries, weapons designed to destroy Dravix. He's won every time. Not because I made him weak, but because I taught him to think, to choose, to control his power instead of being controlled by it. She took another painful breath. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. That's the difference between surviving and thriving. Obsidian Claw watched her struggle to breathe. He could end this with one swipe of his claws. One burst of flame. But he didn't move. Your species has survived for millions of years by being fierce, Lily continued. Her vision was starting to blur. But surviving isn't enough anymore. The galaxy is changing. Species that can't adapt go extinct. You're dying out because you're stuck in old patterns. Because you see cooperation as weakness. Because you'd rather die alone and strong than live together and stronger. She fell to one knee. Couldn't help it. Her body was shutting down. But she kept talking. I love Ash. I love those 5 hatchlings. I would die for any of them. Not because they're weak. Because they're precious. Because life is precious. Because choosing to protect something is the bravest thing anyone can do. Obsidian Claw's expression was unreadable. He lowered his massive head until his eyes were level with hers. Why do you not fear death, human? He asked. The same question he'd asked through intermediaries before. But now he asked it face to face. You stand in my shadow. You breathe poison. You know you cannot win this fight. Why do you not run? Lily's lips were turning blue. Her hands trembled from lack of oxygen. But she smiled. Because I believe in what I teach, she whispered. Because Ash taught me something too. He taught me that love and loyalty are stronger than fear. That bonds between people matter more than anything else. That protecting what you care about is worth any risk. She collapsed. Couldn't stay conscious anymore. Her body hit the stone floor hard. Through fading awareness, she heard Ash roar in anguish, heard the crowd erupt in chaos, heard Obsidian Claw's voice but couldn't make out the words. Then gentle claws lifted her. Something pressed against her face. Her helmet. Someone was putting it back on. Oxygen flooded her lungs. She gasped and coughed, each breath agony and relief at once. Her vision cleared slowly. Obsidian Claw held her in his claws, careful despite his size. He'd saved her life. He'd stopped the trial to save her. Enough, he said, his voice carrying across the arena. I have seen enough. He set Lily down gently, making sure she was steady before letting go. Then he turned to face the assembled Dravix. Thousands of eyes watched him, waited for his judgment. I have lived 300 years, Obsidian Claw said. I have conquered continents. I have won battles that shaped our history. I have proven my strength 1,000 times over. He paused. But I have never seen courage like this. Never witnessed someone willingly face death for an idea, for a belief, for love of creatures not even her own species. He bowed his head. The gesture was shocking. Elders didn't bow, especially not to outsiders, especially not to beings they'd just fought. I concede the trial, he said formally. The human's truth is stronger than mine. Her way is not weakness. It is strength I never understood, strength I never possessed. The arena erupted. Some Dravix roared approval. Others hissed in anger. The council descended to restore order. But through it all, Obsidian Claw stayed near Lily, as if protecting her from any who might disagree with his judgment. Ash reached them finally, having fought through the crowd. He pressed against Lily, checking her over frantically. She wrapped her arms around his neck. I'm okay, she whispered. I'm okay, baby. Obsidian Crest approached, her ancient face showing something Lily had never seen there before. Emotion. Pride, maybe. Or hope. The trial is concluded, she announced. The humans' methods will be adopted across Scoralis Prime. We will train caretakers in her ways. We will build nurseries where hatchlings can be safe. We will remember that strength without wisdom is just violence. What about those who disagree? Granite Fang asked, glancing at several angry-looking Draviks in the crowd. They will adapt or be left behind, Obsidian Crest said firmly. Evolution is not optional. We change or we die. Those are the only choices. She turned to Lily. Will you help us? Will you stay and teach others what you have shown us? Lily looked around the arena, at the 5 hatchlings who watched her with trusting eyes, at Ash who'd stood by her through everything, at the thousands of Draviks who needed what she could teach them. I'll help, she said, but I can't stay forever. I have my own life, my own work, but I'll come back. I'll teach whoever wants to learn, and I'll make sure other humans know how to do this too. You won't have to depend on just me. That is more than we deserve, Obsidian Crest said, more than we dared hope for. 6 months later, Lily stood in her lab on Station Harmony. But the lab looked different now. Habitats lined the walls, each one housing a young creature from various dangerous species across the galaxy. A Kelvar pup that had been deemed too aggressive, a thornback juvenile that had attacked its handlers, a storm-scale hatchling that couldn't control its electrical discharge. And teaching them, showing them the methods Lily had developed, were 3 other humans. Young researchers who'd volunteered to learn interspecies bonding. The program had expanded beyond anything Lily had imagined. Requests came from dozens of worlds. Species that had been considered untamable were forming bonds with humans. Death World predators were becoming protectors instead of threats. Humans were becoming known throughout the galaxy as bridge builders. The empathic species. The ones who could connect with anyone, anything if they just tried. Director Vorna entered the lab, stepping carefully around a sleeping thornback. She smiled at the organized chaos. Another request came in, she said, handing Lily a datapad. The Kelris Dominion wants to know if you can help with their apex predator problem. And the Fen Collective is asking about your availability for a diplomatic mission. Something about 2 species who've been at war for a century, but might respond to human mediation. Lily scrolled through the messages. There were too many. She couldn't possibly answer them all personally, but that was okay. She'd trained others. The movement was bigger than just her now. Ash lifted his head from where he'd been napping in the corner. He was enormous now, fully mature. His wingspan could cover a transport ship. But he was still gentle with the smaller creatures in the lab, still patient when the Kelvar pup tried to play with his tail, still protective of Lily above all else. Through their bond, she felt his contentment, his pride in what they'd built together. What do you think? Lily asked him. Should we take on more missions? Or are we doing enough already? Ash made a thoughtful rumbling sound. Then he stood and walked to the window. He looked out at the stars, at the vast galaxy full of species who needed help understanding each other. He looked back at Lily and chirped. The same sound he'd made as a scared hatchling, all those months ago. The sound that meant yes. That meant trust. That meant he'd follow her anywhere. Lily laughed and joined him at the window. She scratched under his chin and he purred. Okay then, she said. We'll keep going. We'll keep teaching. We'll keep showing everyone that being strong doesn't mean being alone. That the fiercest warriors are the ones who choose compassion. That love really is stronger than fear. A message notification chimed. Granite Fang's face appeared on her communicator, calling from Scoralis Prime. Good news, he said, his voice warm. We have had our highest hatchling survival rate in recorded history. 92% made it through their first year. Your methods are working better than we ever dreamed. The 5 you trained personally are now helping raise the next generation. They remember what you taught them. They're passing it on. Lily felt tears sting her eyes. 92%. That meant dozens of young Draviks who would have died were now thriving. Growing strong and wise instead of just fierce, that's amazing, she said. I'm so proud of them. They speak of you often, Granite Fang continued. The white one with black markings especially. She says you saved her life twice. Once when you showed her kindness, and once when you proved that kindness wasn't weakness. She wants to meet other humans. To learn how to bond with other species like you, bond with Ash. Send her my way, Lily said immediately. I'd be honored to teach her. After the call ended, Lily stood quietly for a moment. She thought about the scared botanist she'd been a year ago. The one who'd just wanted to study plants and stay out of trouble. The one who'd never imagined she'd change the galaxy. But that's exactly what had happened. Not through weapons or technology or force. Through compassion. Through seeing the person inside the predator. Through believing that everyone, no matter how dangerous they seemed, deserved a chance to be understood. Ash nuzzled her shoulder, and she leaned into his warmth. They'd done this together. A girl and her dragon. A human and a creature everyone said couldn't be tamed. They'd proven the impossible was possible. That bonds between beings mattered more than differences. That choosing to love something was the bravest thing anyone could do. The galaxy was changing because of them. Slowly. One hatchling at a time. One bond at a time. One person willing to see past fear and reach out with kindness instead. It wasn't easy. It would never be easy. But it was worth it. Because somewhere on a death world far away, 5 young Draviks were teaching other youngsters to be strong and gentle at the same time. Because predators across the galaxy were learning they could choose protection over violence. Because species that had been enemies for generations were starting to talk instead of fight. Because one human girl had looked at a scared baby dragon and said, "You're actually kind of cute," and meant it. That simple moment of compassion had changed everything. Had saved countless lives. Had built bridges across the stars. Lily smiled and turned back to her work. There was always more to do. More creatures to help. More bonds to build. More people to teach that love and loyalty were stronger than fear. And through it all, Ash would be there. Her partner. Her friend. Her baby who'd grown into something magnificent but never stopped being hers. Their bond was unbreakable. Not because of any magic or special power, but because they'd chosen each other. Every single day they chose each other. That was the real strength. Not in claws or fire or armor, but in the simple, profound act of choosing to care for someone, of choosing to protect instead of harm, of choosing love over fear. It was the lesson Lily had taught the galaxy, and the galaxy slowly but surely was learning to listen.